TUFF SHIFT. Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of TUFF SHIFT, the podcast where we unpack all that goes into surviving the job and living the dream. I am your host, Sean Patrick Murtagh, and every time we get there to that part, the part that I say every single episode, I'm like, wait, do I know what I'm supposed to say here? So I did it. I didn't crash today. Maybe next week, but today we made it through the first two sentences of this podcast, and we have another at least 59 minutes to go. I hope you all are doing well. If you are not in a place that is experiencing a heat wave right now, count your lucky stars. It has been a little intense here in LA. I've been here 2 years and I don't feel like I've experienced a heat wave. Like this feels a little bit like New York to me, like the humidity. And I'm currently working in a beach town here in LA, and it's gross. And everyone's in a bad mood, and everyone's like sticky and just irritated, and we're just like underhydrated. Like I literally last night in the middle of my shift was like, I'm actively dehydrating right now. So I had to like grab a giant deli, which I know a lot of customers, they see us drinking out of delis and like, oh, you watched The Bear? Did you get that from The Bear? Like, no, bitch, The Bear got it from us. Like every time, I mean, have you seen The Bear is the new, I guess you're an aspiring actor. It's like the random question people feel compelled to ask us. No, they got that from us. Everything on The Bear, they got from the industry, right? The industry didn't get that from The Bear. All we got was PTSD responses. And it's a great show. Watch the show. I love it. I'm a little behind because I do watch it on a little slow of a roll because it is really intense. But yes, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, actively dehydrating in the service well. And so I just grabbed a giant deli, filled it with soda water, lime juice, and like 2-3 pinches of salt, and just like chugged 2 and 3 of those. Like it was, and then I came back to life. So if you're working where there's humidity, stay hydrated. If you're dining or going out at a place that's very humid, I understand you're irritated too, but we're working to make your experience enjoyable. So why don't you be a little more enjoyable for us? That's some unsolicited advice and my tip of the week to customers, which I guess is something I'm doing now. Tip of the week to customers. Tomorrow we'll talk about using fucking napkins to wipe your dirty hands before touching anything on the table. I guess that's actually all I have to say about that. Don't be fucking gross. As part of this pre-shift, a new thing that I am doing is doing shout outs because our past guests are so amazing and so talented, which is why I bring them on here. So that way I can share them with you. And then I share them, I connect with them. I love them so much. And like, I feel like so close to them for the week of their show. And I'm just like plugging them and reviewing this episode and the little clips I sent out. And then it's on to the next guest, but it's like, they're still doing amazing things and I still want to sing their praises. So I'm going to sing their praises right now. And I'm going to start with Natalie Reynolds, who you may remember. She has the voice studio online. She has done Effie 3 times, 2 times, two times. I want her to do it a 3rd time so I can see it. But right now, she's making her directorial debut in as directing Dreamgirls in Springfield, Illinois, at the Hoogland Center for the Arts, which is going on now. This actually the weekend that I'm recording this, which is the week you're hearing it, through the end of this week, the 31st of August. And I'm seeing the little clip she's putting up on Instagram. And God, if you haven't heard her episode, go back and find Natalie's episode and just think like, what an amazing person for an actor to trust. What an amazing person to be at the helm of the ship for a musical, especially a musical like that, which is all about heart and heartbreak and finding, the sympathy, the empathy, everything that needs to go on with all those characters on that stage. Who has a better heart and artistic vision than Natalie? Right? Please go follow her on Instagram and give her some likes. And if you can't see the show, if you're not in Springfield, Illinois, listening to this, I'm not sure how many listeners we have in Springfield, Illinois, but just send some love her way. If you can't see the show, go see the show. I also want to talk about Robin Clausen, who was featured in the documentary Shaken and Stirred. You remember we had four of the cast members from that show on this show, and we talked about their collective history in bartending, specifically in flair bartending. They're like tossing bottles and this and that. And I found it funny because Robin had stepped away from bartending to do some amazing things at the Indianapolis Humane Society, and recently announced that she was going back to the hospitality industry, stepping back behind the bar. And, just how cool is it for this small town to have such an accomplished, amazing bartender that they don't even realize like an eighth of her talent. And, she risky threw bottles for a living and caught them, and, mostly injury free. And she shared her first shift back that she was attacked by a citrus peeler, which is probably, it's a story that is all too relatable for all bartenders, which prompted me to, comment like, hey, hope you're okay. But also, citrus peelers are literally the hippopotami of the bartending world. It something that looks harmless, non-violent, docile, just sits there and does nothing, and all of a sudden, oh, don't clap in front of the microphone, Sean. Don't clap in front of the microphone. All of a sudden, this harmless, docile, non-moving thing has violently attacked you, and it's just like this little tiny peeler can do a lot of damage. So I thought that was like, I mean, knock on wood, I don't wish it on anybody, but what an appropriate way to come back like, oh yeah, I made this choice. I'm back bartending. So Robin, we love you, and so thrilled that you're back behind the bar, making drinks and making dreams come true. Finally, I want to give a shout out to Josh Bardier, and he has a new show coming up, which is going to be, I assume, a review, a lineup, similar to what we talked about on the episode, how he hosted one of my favorite lineups in New York City, Actoria, for many, many, many years. And I said, when are you bringing something back? When is Actoria coming back, or anything like that? Well, the answer is September 20th, star quality, hosted by Josh Bardier, and musical directed by Jason Wetzel, Broadway's Jason Wetzel, phenomenal pianist, literally gets people's music an hour before the show and plays it flawlessly. I've had the privilege and luck and honor to sing with that man a few times. And if you see him at a piano bar, if you see him in an audition room, if you see him in a rehearsal room, you're going to have a wonderful time. So go check out Josh and Jason at the Monster on 80 Grove Street in New York City. That's the Village. It's free. Free. Should I tell you the date? Did I say the date? September 30th. It's a matinee at 3:30. Who doesn't love a little day drinking and show tunes? Let's go support them and have a great time, right? All right, that's it for the shout outs. Now I want to talk about the shut ups, just all the shut ups. And these are guests that can just shut all the way up. If you work in this industry, it's almost like having arthritis, where like people with arthritis can tell storms are coming. Like we have this, we know, is there a full moon? Is something in retrograde? You just start feeling it. It hits you, and you're like, shit's going to go down today. Shit is going to go down. And last week, I didn't know that there was no new moon, full moon, nothing going on with the moon. I actually don't know, but I didn't hear about it, which usually there's always at least one person on Facebook commenting about all that stuff. And it was just a Sunday afternoon. I was coming into work the mid shift, and it's just, it always comes in threes, right? And it starts out like normal. It starts out like a normal day, and just like little hints of craziness comes in, and you're like, oh Lord. So we're gonna unpack three things that happened that day that just, I was like, do we have to do this, right? I'm gonna tell you what happened, and I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna unpack like what that means and what not to do. Okay, what's the lesson learned? So first, my first guest, I'm coming in, taking over for the brunch bartender, getting set up for the evening, all good, all fine. One of our regulars comes in who I happen to like. I say not all regulars are favorites, but this regular, I actually like him. I think. Nice enough to me, friendly when we're slammed. He doesn't require attention. He just puts his head back down, doesn't bother me. when you have time, I'll take this. When you really just like kind of like he knows how to be a regular. He knows how to be somebody that is welcome at my bar and probably most bars. And usually he brings in good friends. Usually he always comes in with a companion to do his day drinking, his lovely wife or one of his many friends. They're rich, you know. They're loaded. They're really low stakes, super chill. Not all. I don't know why I'm saying it that way because not all rich people are low stakes. Some of them are just assholes for assholes' sake. So he brings in this friend, and apparently we were not their first stop. They had been day drinking up until that point, and it was 3 o'clock, and they had been day drinking enough, and then went and had IVs, like went to an IV shop and got all their hydration, all their vitamin B's, everything they needed to be revitalized, and then decided to come undo a little bit of that work and continue their day drinking now that they've been recharged for more Chablis. And fine enough, like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and like, wow. You certainly are privileged that this is your afternoon, that you can spend as much as you're spending on two bar tabs and $400 on an IV drip to in between. Like that's a nice life. You're doing something well. And it's, just start shooting the shit, introducing me to this friend, da 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 da. And then, the friend has like a couple sips of his wine, and it's just like slowly starts creeping in like what an asshole he actually is. And he's telling us about this trip him and his wife took to Vegas, and we own restaurants there. I don't know why whenever it's a dumb jamoke I do a New York accent. He's like, we own restaurants there. He's not. He's from Manhattan Beach, not from Manhattan. Um, and talking about their trip and all the things they did, and we went to this place, we went to that place, and da 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 da, just like really, really hyping up how rich he is. Like, we get it, you can afford to do all this. You're somebody in the restaurant industry, maybe. You really want us to know how important you are. And then this part really struck me. Like, if you're a restaurant owner, like, you want people coming to your restaurant to celebrate whatever they're celebrating. You want people to come to their restaurant and be like, I really want their food. We have a birthday. I want to sell. You want people to come to your restaurant for whatever occasion is going on in their life. And you, regardless of how you feel about that person, you're so happy they're there. You want to encourage them to come back. He's opening up to us that he went to this one place and they were spending all this money, and he just couldn't have a good time because there was a couple there celebrating their 22nd wedding anniversary. And I was like, well, that seems weird. That seems really weird that would be so upsetting to you. And he's like, yeah, they were just like so happy and da 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 da. And he was being annoyed by their happiness. And then he said, and the whole thing is that they were so happy, but they were just so ugly. They were just like the ugliest couple I've ever seen in my life. And I jaw dropped. I've been in this industry for 20 years. I've heard a lot of people say some stupid shit, some mean shit, some awful shit. That I had never heard. A grown man, older than me. This person is older than me. They're living the life. They can spend $500 on an IV drip and $300 twice over on two different bar tabs. Like, that's you're literally out loud in this entire restaurant talking about how these ugly people, ugly, ruined your experience. Like, what a fucking piece of shit. What an awful human being, and what an awful thing to say, to think, to what, like, you are so bothered by somebody that you aren't attracted to, like, you mediocre middle-aged white man who just, like, yeah, you're symmetric face, whatever, but like, you're mid, like, you are 100% mid, and these people bothered you that much, and you have your beautiful wife next to you, and you have all your money in your bank account, and you can't be happy because two people that you don't find attractive. I would love to see these people, because attractiveness and beauty and all that comes in all different shapes and sizes, and to be truly ugly, to me to be truly ugly is much more than appearance. It's acting like this piece of shit. And I was like, this is just, what a weird flex, and what a weird thing to just openly share with someone you're just meeting for the first time. And the lesson I'm taking here, or the lesson I want you to learn here, is if you have friends like this, don't bring them to my bar. Don't bring them to the places you love, because it makes me think less of this regular that I actually thought pretty high, relatively high up. I was like, he's a great guy. I really respect him. I enjoy when he comes in. I know we're going to take care of him. He's going to take care of us. It's going to be a wonderful time. And his friend kind of just like muddied the water. I'm not sure how about I feel about this guy if this is who he's bringing in. Like, don't be that guy. Don't bring that guy in. Actually, regular, bring the guy in that you brought yesterday, the actual hot middle aged dude, the daddy who is like as successful, as wonderful, but charming and lovely and respectful. And you brought him in a month ago. He remembered my name. He remembered my coworker's name. Super friendly, decent tip. Bring in those friends. Bring in those friends that don't talk shit about other strangers that they've never met who are minding their own damn business, right? Don't let your friends, you are the sum of the people you surround yourself with, right? You are who you hang out with. So maybe don't hang out with those people at my bar, okay? That's cray cray number one. Cray Cray number two came in, and he was like the Geico Gecko. I'm gonna really butcher this accent, but like in human form. Another daddy, another like yeah, actually a handsome man with a lovely silver beard, silver hair, well groomed, all this and stuff. But just like, brr, what an annoying human being. He walks in like all hot, like not hot physically hot, but just like comes in hot, like comes in ready to go, and our barback is training to be a bartender. He's bartended at other places. His vocabulary, as far as like his inner vocabulary of cocktails, is not the most extensive. He knows how to make a lot of the basic things, and he's learning. He's wonderful, and I'm so happy he's becoming a bartender because he's going to be such a great asset to this team, and he's going to learn more, right? So the guy obviously finds him and is like, "Hey, mate, blah, 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 blah. Like, I got a drink. It's a bit of a bougie drink. Blah, blah, blah. I hope you don't mind. If you can't make it, that's fine. Don't worry, because it's a bougie drink, and I'm sorry to be ordering it." Blah, 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 blah. And like literally just like talking at not hi, hello, how are you, like, and just kept talking about this bougie drink, and it's fine. It's fine if you don't know how to make it, because it's like this guy has this one drink that no bartender's ever heard of, and our barback in training is like, yes, I'd be happy to help you. What's the drink? Well, if I don't know it, I'll find somebody who does. And he's like, yeah. I'll have a Grand Marnier. I'll have a Grand Marnier. And I'm sitting, I'm doing my side work. I'm doing my thing, keep my head down, but keeping my ear open. A Grand Marnier. And so my coworker is like, Grand Marnier, sure, yeah. Do you want that neat or on the rocks? He's like, no, mate. No, mate. It's not like that. It's not like that, mate. It's a Grand Marnier. It's a bit of a bougie drink. It's okay if you don't know how to make it. Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, do you mind just telling me what the ingredients are? And I'll do my best for you. He was like, yeah, no, it's really simple. It's really simple. It's just Campari, sweet vermouth, and some bourbon. And I was like, I turned around because it's like it's not my customer, it's none of my business. But I turned around, I was like, I think without even looking at this man, I'm like, I think this guy means a boulevardier because that sounds like a boulevardier to me. And then I turned back around and he was like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. It's a bit of a bougie drink. And he just kept saying bougie drink. I'm like, sir, I don't think that means what you think it means. And I think now you should just like shut up. Apparently, because I ignored him after that, I was like, not my issue. He was a little embarrassed. And that was a one and done situation. And he left after that. I'm like, I'm glad you feel embarrassed. I wasn't mean. I was just very direct. And then he has his one and done. He pays, leaves a decent tip, and leaves. Well, this past Friday night, he comes back. He sits at the bar, and I'm not where I usually am. And he sits down, he sees me, literally stands up and moves to the other end of the bar to order from the other bartender who was swamped because she was in the well, and he orders a drink. And so she comes over to me and she's like, hey, that man at the end of the bar, I thought he left, I didn't see that he had gone down there, wants a boulevardier. Do you have time to make it? And I look and I was like, oh fuck, I have more than enough time to make this guy his boulevardier. And so I did, and I walked it over to him, and he looked at me like, oh, you caught me. And I was like, I certainly fucking did. But, he left a great tip. And, I don't have time to get to the third cray cray. The third cray cray is actually really fucking intense. A little too much. It's probably its own opener. But here we are at the 20-minute mark, and our guest has to get to work, and I have to get to work. Like, we are doing this in real time. We are facing a tough shift. And so hopefully this episode is a bit therapeutic for us and gives us the inspiration we need to get through the shift and home to either our beds, our couches, our Netflix binges, or our dirty martinis, whatever comes first. So I will share at some point that third cray cray, but we gotta move this on, Sean. Keep going. This is not all about you today. Today's guest is he has just one of the most glorious, booming, rich, deep, lovely, classically trained baritone voices, like just oozing with charm and charisma, and just it's just such a. It's okay to say this. It's a sexy voice. It is a sexy, rich voice, and like an actual baritone, not like the 10 years I spent trying to tell people that I was a baritone when all signs pointed to you're an idiot. He's an actual baritone with just one of the most gorgeous voices I've ever heard. He is somebody who blends in his dark sense of humor, sprinkles in a little socio-political commentary, and healthy heaping of impassioned pathos into all of his songs and his shows. He is as comfortable standing still on stage delivering a heartbreaking ballad as he is making big, bold choices and chewing the scenery. He's a beloved fixture of the Boston cabaret scene, and he has been selling out shows and filling houses in Boston and Provincetown, and he has been greeted and welcomed with open arms by the New York cabaret scene, and he is starting to make a name for himself in those venues such as Don't Tell Mama and Pangea. He's gotten some really amazing reviews too. Cabaret Scenes, which is like the main magazine, the main outlet for cabarets, calls him wonderfully creepy and marvelously theatrical. Lavender After Dark says the two parts of Garner's persona are unified by one thing: talent. That right there says all you need to know about this amazing thing. He is bringing back his show, Miss Otis Regrets, to the Post Office Cabaret in Provincetown on September 20th. So if you're in Provincetown, get there. If you're near Provincetown, get there. If you can't get there, be sad that you're missing out. Please welcome to the show the amazingly talented Francis Garner. Dun da da da!
Well, hello. Am I blushing? I felt like I was blushing. That was
You
quite an
should
introduction.
You should be blushing because these are all true things, and I think it's great. I say this to all my guests. I think it's great to hear it back every now and then,
Well,
even
thank
though we've read the reviews. Something about somebody saying to your face just how fucking talented you are. It's something, and I think more artists should have the experience to hear people sing their praises. So, welcome to the show. Blush all you want. We're gonna just keep singing your praises and sending people to your show. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you. I'm a lot better now. That perked me up. Um, but I just wanted to say it's so funny to hear you talk about having called yourself a baritone previously, because I spent a portion of my formative years singing basso material. So
Uh,
I don't know what that is. But why we all
I
seem to want to.
what it was is that I was with people. It's just a voice is a hard thing to train and a hard thing to diagnose. And I say diagnose because being a singer is a sickness. But it's hard to train a tenor voice, and so I did have access to a lower richness, and so people are like, "Oh, you're a baritone with an extension," and Marty Millett was like, "The fuck you are," and so for 10 years I denied it. I was like, "I'm a lyric baritone." I was so pretentious, and then like once I learned how to access those high notes, I was like, "The fuck was I like?" Listen to my speaking voice. Is that a baritone speaking voice? No, like not at all. But yeah, we are misdiagnosed, we're re-diagnosed, but we're still in it. And you, like I said, you're getting ready to go to work. Like you're cutting it close.
Oh, literally. I'm actually wearing my my work pants I'm not going to show you, but and I'm going to swap this shirt out as soon as we're done and hop in the car. I live about 45 minutes away from my job, actually, so it's a hefty commute, but
That's
um,
yeah. That how are you feeling about going to work today? Or is some days are like you dread it, some days you're indifferent, some days you're like, actually I'm looking forward to it.
today I, I'm hoping for a nice easy shift. I don't actually typically work Sundays anymore. I always work a double on Saturday, so I'm coming off of that yesterday, and it always takes a minute to lick my wounds and to
Yes.
find my feet. I mean, almost literally. I don't know how long I have left in my ankles, but um, today it's a short shift, relatively speaking, 4 o'clock to about 10 o'clock, so it's not so terrible.
Easy peasy, right? And like I think you need a short shift sprinkled in there. I usually like to work um brunches on Sunday because then I have my Sunday night off and it's like depending on the place, like when I worked at Cook Shop in New York City, I've not worked at well, maybe the Smith. Um, they had like epic brunches, so but it still wasn't the same income as the evening shifts. But I feel like if you're going to work a Sunday or you're going to have like a shitty shift, make it a Sunday because then you're just like done, and it's like you're still making money, but you're allowing your body like a little. You can't have tough shift after tough shift after tough shift. So just sprinkling in a little easy shift not that bad. I'm still on the clock, still making a few bucks. Like we're good to go. And Sundays, especially it's still summertime. I know people are starting to go back to school, but people don't have kids too. And the one thing that I notice in summertime is a lot of the times Sundays can be a wild card because they went out of town for the weekend. They're coming back into town,
Mhm.
and there's nothing in the fridge. So they have to eat, and it's a quick stop, and it's quick cash. So I'm wishing you a lovely shift tonight, as easy as you want it to go. And if it's not easy, I hope it's at least financially beneficial to you.
Well, yeah. That being said, so last night I was in a first phase section. I was phased at about 10 o'clock. We stopped serving at 11, and I was there until about quarter to midnight. Because my last two tables together were worth about $600, the checks, anyways. And so I'm just sitting there praying that I'm not staying there, an hour and 45 minutes after when I expected to be on the way home for no tip, which is a very real possibility. And
Yes.
in this particular location, I hate to say, but it is what it is.
Oh, that's awful. Well, we'll get to the tips of it all because you filled out the questionnaire within it that I send out to my guests, just so I
Mhm.
can kind of tailor the episode to you within an inch of its life, and you provided me with enough receipts for some of the things I want to talk with you about. But I'm really happy to have you here because you came highly recommended by our mutual friend Richard Skipper,
Mhm.
and of course Marty Millett. So Richard sent me like two emails like you need to have Francis on your show. Blah, blah, blah. He'd be great. He'd be great. He'd be perfect for the show. He's got lots of stories to share. And then he ended up later that night ended up seeing I think your show maybe with Marty at Pangea.
Yes. Mhm.
And then Marty's like, Richard wants me to tell you to one, answer his emails, and two, book Francis on the show. So I was like, yeah, because we met very briefly in Provincetown,
Mhm.
like literally the weeks before I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast. So it was like a one and done. We met at the Provincetown Cabaret Fest, uh, heard you in open mics, knew that people loved you. Just it's a really wonderful tight knit community. So we stayed connected. But this is kind of like us getting to know each other on the show, and it's fitting because now our listeners get to know you as well. So with that being said, I want to know what I want to know from all my guests. What was your gateway job into becoming this stereotypical artist, surviving the job to live the dream and make it happen? What was your gateway job into the hospitality industry?
So my first job waiting tables, as it were, it was at a place called the Village Pizza. It was in Yarmouth, Massachusetts. I'm a born and raised native Cape Codder, for whatever that's worth to you. And I say mom and pop, but it was actually mom and son. It was a woman named Maria and her son. Angelos. They were Greek, and it was I my beginning there sort of coincided with the end of that restaurant. So I worked there for 7 or 8 months, and then they had to close up shop. So I'm not sure how much of that I am responsible for, but credit where credit's due, I suppose.
There you go. Well, you either dodged a bullet or sunk a ship. The debate rages on. And of all the places, how long have you been doing this?
On and off. So, uh, oh God. I think I was about 17 then. I'm 35 now. So, math.
I'm a tenor. I don't count, so you got you got to do it for me.
15 years or 20 years. Jesus Christ, I'm old.
Girl, and I got 7 years on you. Um, but wow, that's amazing. And in those years, did you say 15? Yeah, in those 15 years, is there a tough shift that stands out from amongst the rest, where it's like you are just so glad that that shift is over? You hope to never have another one like it. That day you just wish far away, and you're glad you never have to go back to.
So I've been pondering on this question for the last 24, 48 hours, and it was too difficult to answer. So I've come up with three examples.
Yes, please.
uh, and they both represent different aspects of the job that are miserable. The first one, it's at the same job I'm currently at, but going on 5 years ago now. I've been here for a while. I drove 45 minutes to work one day. I get to the staff entrance, and the staff entrance is locked. So I'm pounding on the door. It's not unheard of that it gets locked accidentally. Nothing happens. I call the front desk. Nobody's answering. So I say, "Oh my God, okay." So I walk around to the front entrance, and I go to open the door, and the door is locked. The restaurant is closed. Apparently, overnight, the kitchen had the cleaners, whatever chemicals they were using, they mixed the bad ones, and they caused an explosion. um and understandable that they would have to close. The entire pasta station was shut down, and out of commission for weeks after that, and a perfectly understandable reason for them to close the restaurant, at least for the day. I think it ended up being closed for 3 days, but nobody saw fit to actually call me and tell me not to drive 36 miles into work. Uh,
Oh.
that was the day that I almost quit on the spot, and I they were not happy with the words I chose when I came into work again. When they
Well,
opened back
can I just say something? That's their own fucking fault if they're not happy with the words they chose. But that's called accountability, people. That you do that, then, and I think good management uh, pads their spiritual and emotional budget for the fact that one, staff is going to talk shit. Two, you fuck them over, they're going to be pissed. Three, they're gonna drop. We drop the ball too, so you have to pad for these moments. So in a moment like that, you may not be happy with me, but I'm not happy with you either. And let's leave it there. So
up.
they're perfectly fine being unhappy with the words that you chose, because they could have chose some simple words like, "Hey, don't come into work." If they would have chose those words, you wouldn't have to choose the words you chose.
Yeah, and not for nothing. I don't think we have any of the same management as we did at the time.
Thank
So,
God for small miracles.
mm. So that was an example of the establishment itself being the source of my frustration.
Hey there, just checking in. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. And if you are, why not leave us a 5-star review and a comment or two wherever you're listening to this from? And don't forget to follow us on social media at TUFF SHIFT Podcast. That's TUFF SHIFT Podcast. Everywhere. Literally everywhere. And just a reminder, gratuity's not included, but tips are always welcome. And you can find our virtual tip jar at tuffshiftpodcast.com. That's TUFF shiftpodcast.com. All right, back to the show.
An example of me being my own source of frustration. I work for a corporate chain restaurant that I'm never comfortable naming just because, they're big and have a lot of money, whether I'm
Yeah.
speaking good or bad. But we've got gift cards, as with any other place. And when people use gift cards, it's usually like 25, $50, and it usually gets used up entirely when they go to pay. But in the case of this one table, I think it was like a seven top. Um, they went to pay their bill. They said, "We don't know how much is on this gift card." And so I go to the register because we're still catching up to the 21st century. We don't have the little handheld things. Um, and it turns out that it had like $250 on it and covered their entire check. And it had a considerable amount of money left over. I don't remember how much. So I went back to tell them that I didn't need to use your credit card. Their gift card covered it, and it still has money on it. And isn't that great? And then I open up the book and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I left it over on the posi, as is my habit, because when I use them up entirely, I tend to just kind of throw them out." So I
Yeah.
went back to the posi, and it was not there. So they're sitting there, like on their way to a show or something, and say, "We have to head out the door." And I said, "I lost your gift card." And I had to get the GM, who was brand new at the time. So I was working on my own rapport with him. Um, I had to get him to go into the office and like go through all sorts of business papers to try and locate the lost the gift card number anyway, to eventually give it to them. But it was like a half hour later. In the meantime, they're taking up my table, and while being pissed off and being late for
Yeah.
their show, and that was entirely my fault. And it, that's a half hour out of a 6 hour shift or whatever. But that's the type of thing that ruins the shift.
Yeah.
So that was that example, and then I was thinking of an example of the guest being the source of frustration, and these examples are too far, excuse me, too many to number and to name. But my double last Saturday, I I heard you say everything comes in threes, and in my experience, the universe conspires to when it rains, it pours, is the expression
Oh,
I
yeah.
use, because I get more than three most often on these types of days. I go into any given shift. This restaurant is attached to a mall, and I don't know if that necessarily accounts for this, but I go into any given shift expecting at least one table to stiff me, and that's just like something I've accepted. This is part of the job. It's part of the abuse or the ignorance, whatever you want to call it. But last Saturday, there were at least five or six different tables that left me absolute zero. And there's nothing you can do about it except to try to not look pissed off when you go and talk to your
Yeah.
other tables. Um, so we get to the end of the night. I'm on my last table or whatever, and the manager comes to me and tells me that a guest had just actually called back and said, "Oh my God, we paid with a credit card and we forgot to leave a cash tip." And this particular manager is brand new, like literally had only been certified 4 days before. And they had asked him if he could push through a tip on their credit card. And he said, "I'm sorry, without seeing you in person and having a signature for it, I can't do it." And like didn't offer them any sort of recourse whatsoever. So that was a good $30 that it could have been mine.
Did
Um,
that manager ever? Because there's a lot of managers there's a lot of managers whose heads are up their asses for many reasons. But I find the ones that have their heads furthest up their ass are the ones that have never waited tables. Did this manager wait tables that you know of before, or just found their way into management?
The only thing that I know is that he was an external hire.
Hmm.
So I suspect he had some sort of management experience, but if I'm being honest with you, I don't delve into my manager's personal lives enough to
Yeah.
care
Yeah,
enough.
the less you get involved, the better. And it sounds like you have a healthy outlook on it. Like, I mean, I also too, when you know what to expect. Like when I used to nanny, and I've said this many times in this podcast, that nannying helped me understand this industry better, both my coworkers, the guests and whatever. And one of the things that I on the fly, like, oh, this is when you're taking care of a 5-year-old and you have to explain things for their little brains and where they are at in life to understand, and I would just be like, hey, it's okay to be upset, but you should probably gauge your level of upset with your level of surprise. You knew that if you did this was going to be that reaction, or you knew that this was the. So are you that surprised that this happened? And it's like, no. I'm like, so how upset do we want to be about it? You can still be upset, but how upset do you want to be knowing that you knew that this might happen? And so it seems like you have a healthy outlook of that. Like, I know that I'm going to get some shitty tips, and that's just what it is. And I know that, but I mean, I'm a Scorpio. I get pissed. I'm like, you fuck. I hope you stub your toe. I hope you sit in gum. I actually don't want to continue this list because I don't want these things to happen to me. I don't want to put it in the universe. But it still gets me. And then at the end of the day, it's like when you look at the tips, like the good tips, the insanely good tips
Yeah.
are wonderful and generous, but really they just serve to pad the shitty people.
Yeah.
Um, and I know you sent a picture of your tip out one time, and it was like, yeah, the amount you sold, which was like, I think it was like 2,500, which should be then what, 500? Wait, hold on.
Um,
Yeah,
no,
20%.
2,400 usually amounts to $400 in my pocket after tip out.
Oh, after tip out, perfect. And your tip out percentage was 16%. Like, is it always like that? Like, is it just because when I see that average, I take that personal. Like, we enter tips and it gives you like how much that person tipped you. I'm like, I I topped off your glass of wine. I sang happy birthday to your mom and you left me. It's always when it's like 18% or 19%. Like, you couldn't leave 50 more cents to make it a 20% tip.
Yeah, and I mean to be sure, I say some things that I wouldn't be comfortable speaking into a microphone after I see these things, but I the thing is, it's not the type of thing that stays with me,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I'm most of the time not going to see these people ever again.
Yeah.
I will add, though, for I don't know if your experience is the same. Anytime somebody writes "God bless" on a check, you know what's underneath it.
Oh, yeah. Well, even when they say, so I want to know, like, actually, I have tips on the sheet that the outline for the show because we're talking about it. There are just things like when people are going to leave you a shitty tip, and like there's the Christian Crusaders who leave you like the tip I'm leaving you is your salvation. It's like a little fucking coupon for heaven. Have you ever gotten something like that? And it's like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like,
Mhm.
as Sophia says in The Color Purple, I'm not sure if it's in the book. I know it's in the musical. Like, you ought to smash Mr. Heads open and think on heaven later. Like, I'll think on heaven later. I need to pay rent this month. I need to like, what are some of the weirdest things you've got, or like the weirdest clues? Like, you're gonna be a shitty tipper. Like, oh, I used to wait tables. I'm like, you're gonna fuck me over. Like, do you have any unique experiences with that?
Uh, oh, it's hard to say. I mean, oftentimes I go on vibes, and the vibes are usually right.
Yeah,
So like the people that don't look up at you when they're asking for or ordering their food, or uh, the people that wildly mispronounce words, and it's clear that they don't ever go out in public. I don't want to speak too ill on people, but
some people, it is hard. Like, I will say some of the words are hard and some of them aren't. So that's where it's like one of those things. Like, I have this thing where it's like, oh, you don't like, and like the places I work, they're like, oh yeah, this isn't like your standard. Like, people want to know. Like, people, like yesterday, someone came in like, you don't have a half chicken, and I was like, no, like everything we have is on the menu. We have skewers, like, because that's what we do here. We do skewers, but like people get really set with where they are used to going, and sometimes they get dragged to these places by somebody else
Mhm.
in the party, and so then it's like chicken fricassee, and it's like, yeah, that's not easy to say. And also, like, I find too sometimes the most outlandish requests are also things like that request doesn't make sense. Like, I don't like uh parsley, so can you just add more chicken? Be like, I don't I don't think that that's how that works. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay, we'll see. But usually when someone brings up that they work in the industry, I'm just like, oh, you're gonna fuck me over. You're gonna fuck me, or they say like, I'm gonna take care of you. Like, no, you won't. No, you
yeah.
won't. They're just like all lip service.
Yeah. I think the only demographic that I'm comfortable stereotyping would be teenagers. So you get a group of teenagers, you're gonna have a bad time, and then I usually go up to the front desk and say, "What are you doing to me?"
Teenagers or freshly turned 21. The place I was working at before the place I'm at now, it was a very Instagrammable type of a place. And there was a lot of young 21-year-olds going out for their evening. And like they did what I think is a grave sin where they come out during dinner time just for drinks. And it's like, three espresso martinis, one this and that. And it's like, you got it. And then they undertip you because they split the bill 50 ways to Sunday, and they just think like it's $1 per drink or this and that. Like, you're sitting at a dinner table. Like, so freshly 21 people are also just like, please go to Chuck E. Cheese, go to Chuck E. Cheese, go to a sports bar. Don't come here for your Instagram post. Another thing you sent me was a very cute message, a very funny message, which I think sometimes, as difficult as this industry is and as difficult as many guests can be, it's there are the ones that like make it worth it for you. Like I had an experience where I was really vibing with these people, and just they were super lovely. And at the end of their meal, they were like, you are just so, there's something so parental about you. Like, we just felt so taken care of, we felt so safe, and da 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 da. Like, are you a father? And I was like, oh, no, no, I'm not a father. And all of the instincts that you felt were not paternal, they were actually maternal. I have a wonderful feminine energy, and really, in these experiences, I'm your mom. And people, the relationship between waiters and the table is like a mom and a baby. And like, what do you mean? And I was like, I mean, you come in here knowing nothing. You're brand new to the world of this restaurant. You're hungry, you're this, you're that, you're crying. And I'm there. I'm there to take care of you. I'm going to help you find what you need. I'm going to get you your little juice boxes, and you're so happy and you're so lovely. And then your appetizers arrive, and you're like a little toddler or a 5-year-old, just like, look, we got these appetizers and they're so yummy and they're so happy to see you. And then we get to the main course, and now you're like, a teenager, young adult. You don't need me anymore. You have everything you need in front of you. You're here with this person you're with, and when I ask you how everything is, you're like, it's fine, we're fine. And that little sweet face that I just had 20 minutes ago doesn't want to be seen with me or talk to me in front of their friends.
Mhm.
And then it's the end of the meal. It's the end of the meal, and you realize that the time we have left together is short, and you reflect on that, and you become nostalgic, and you're just so grateful for the time that we had, and you'll miss me, and then we just go on our separate ways. And they were like, holy shit, how did you come up with that? I'm like, I've been doing it forever. And like, you really are like a mom. I'm like, and can you believe I haven't gotten a single fucking Mother's Day card from any of my guests? These people paid their bill, and when I came back, they took their receipt and they folded it into, like, a little makeshift card, and they
Mhm.
drew a heart and flowers on the front, and they wrote, happy Mother's Day, Sean. I wish I still had that. That's like a story. So you had a run-in with a guest that left you a very interesting note on your receipt.
Um, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not even sure what the story was behind that. You asked for pictures from the shift, so in my little search thing, I said Braintree, Massachusetts, and it brought up everything from the time that I've been working there. And I found one receipt, and I said, "The fuck was that?" It, it said something like, "Thank you for bringing me the milk, unlike my
It said,
dad."
thanks for bringing back the milk,
Yeah,
unlike my dad.
yeah. I I don't even remember anything about the person that left me it, but it was obviously something to take a picture of. But it's funny. I in my server book, I save little things
Yeah.
that I want to remember. Um, would you hate me if I wanted to walk away to grab it?
No, not at all.
All
We
right.
live for stuff like this. Let's do walking music. Bum, bum, dun, dun, bum, 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 dun, dun. We can always edit that out.
So people leave me things all the time. And like they're cute a lot of the times, like this little origami heart that's
Oh,
$1.
that's so cute. For the listeners, if you're not watching on YouTube, it was a bill folded up in an origami heart. Origami.
Well, and then this little shirt, and that's also cute.
A
And
dollar bill folded up as a shirt.
to your point about people leaving the word of God as tips, they saved one of those.
God bless. It looks like the Barbra Streisand Christmas album cover.
Yeah, it's about King Herod. Um,
Oh, nice. I
and
hope your sister and brother-in-law accept that for when your rent is due.
and then so I often get asked if we have crayons or markers for kids or anything, and we don't. So I said the best I can do is to give you a little piece of my notepad here, and then like you can use the back of it, and I'll give you one of my pens. So there was a little boy. I don't know how long ago this was. He took a couple pieces of paper and then he left them for me. He said, "These are for you," and look at what he drew me. That's absolutely terrifying.
That's like it looks like an Ant-Man from like a dark remake of a like 1960s futuristic
Oh my god,
outer
I just
space.
found it hysterical. They look like something out of a horror film.
That's hilarious, which is like kind of funny because as you mentioned in the bio you sent me, and as I've seen in the write-ups about your shows, like you are somebody who has a dark sense of humor and loves sprinkling it. So it's almost like you're attracting these wonderful people to kind of like brighten your day with some dark humor at the while you're at your shift. And that milk comment, like that just tickled me so much because one, the fact that you remembered to bring back the milk, because milk, sides of ice, all that water, really low stakes. If your server remembers to bring you any of those back, you're lucky. So not only did you do that, but that person was bold enough, which means you must have established a rapport with them to write that incredibly dark, incredibly hilarious note on your check. Now, I want to be respectful. I have a few things I want to talk about, but I think we're good with the restaurant. And I want to make sure we talk about you as the artist and get you to work on time. So, what are you doing this all for? What is your dream life? What are your pursuits artistically that make putting on the apron and carrying trays all worth it? Just share with our guests who haven't met you yet. What is it you do? And in a dream world, what is it that will allow you to walk away from the restaurant?
See, this turns very existential very quickly.
Yeah, let's go
um,
there.
the fact of the matter is, I don't know. Um, there was a time in my life when I thought that I was going to pursue the opera track, and that's how I would be spending the rest of my life. And there was nothing in my mind that could shake that until it did.
Yeah,
And life gets in the way, and it kind of took me off course a little bit, um, and then once I stepped back from it, I realized that I really didn't want to go back to it.
yeah,
And so it wasn't until relatively recently that I even discovered the world of cabaret and whatever that means to um, the individual practicing it. Um, and I found in cabaret a vehicle that gives me so much more creative license than classical music ever did. I mean, there's a quote from one of my professors at Manhattan School of Music. She said, "As opera singers, we are not creators; we are recreators." And at the
hmm
time, I thought of that as terribly profound, and trying to explore. What you can do with a piece of music within the confines of something that you are not allowed to alter in any way, shape, or form. Um, but now I look back on that quote as sort of a defining reason why that world doesn't fit for me and why
yeah.
cabaret works so much better, because I can create from start to finish an hour long show, and have discovered my artistic voice there. Um, that being said, now that I'm creating and now that I'm doing, I don't know where I'm trying to go with it.
Hmm.
Um, the reason why I work in restaurants still is frankly only because I don't want to be working in other places.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want the type of job where I'm going to be restricted to a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 type of schedule, because that doesn't give me the freedom and the time to pursue my creative pursuits. Um, on a professional level, I mean, what I crave is, as callous as this sounds, um, is validation in the form of finally not losing money in my creative endeavors. I would like to make money as a means to call myself a professional finally, in my mid
Mm.
30s. Um, but that's about the only thing that I can clearly define at this point. Um,
That seems worth it to me. To be honest, it seems and I'm right there in the same boat with you. Like I would love to get out of the restaurant world and be making a living 100%. Working on network TV or working for shows on streaming services,
mhm,
taking my shows on cruise ships. I would love that. But in trying to find alternatives, being like, well, I can't work 9 to 5 and then come home and take like so I'm getting home at 6 and then I have to like de-stress. I did that in New York when I was like switched my focus to bookkeeping, and then like then to get home at 6, have to get all of that off of me and just kind of get my body back into a place where it's not tight from sitting at a computer, it's not this and that, and then sing. And then like I had roommates, so I can't be singing past 8 o'clock. Like technically you can make noise until 10 o'clock in a building, but like your neighbors don't want to hear you screeching out Nessun Dorma at which is not something that I would do if I did pursue opera. But it's just the making loud noises all the time. So then I'm limited into when I can create, where it's like I can have a tough shift and I can sleep in and recover, make music and have a tough shift again. It seems maybe it's not the only way to do it, but it's the way that I'm comfortable with, and that's what I'm getting from you is that it's comfortable and you already know how to work it for your benefit.
basically, yeah. It's not my calling in life, but it's also not making my life worse. So,
Yeah.
mm.
That's wonderful. And so how in these shows that how did you stumble into cabaret, and then how did you put your first show together? Because I know people do talk about your choices in songs and your set list. So I'd like to unpack that. One that stands out notably is I read in a review that you opened a show with a song called 7 Inches. Now I'm familiar with the measurement, but I'm not familiar with that song. And I can only imagine in a show about gay dating over 30, what a gem that song is to find. So will you unpack that song for us, and how it fits in the show, and then how you build your shows around stuff like that?
Oh man. So the beauty of that song is that I'm not sure if you've taken the time to listen to it, but it's not at all what you think it's about, based on the title.
Well,
Um,
shucks.
so it's by a woman named Kate Vargas. Um, and the song is essentially about somebody that gets their rocks off by breaking into other people's houses and moving their furniture around. And the title comes from I'm not a burglar. I don't get off on theft. I just want to move your table 7 inches to the left. And
Oh.
and uh, I mean, you can hear that this has absolutely nothing to do with dating gay over 30, but atmospherically, it set the tone that I was looking for, and that's what it was about more than the text.
Yeah.
The just this sort of like what is happening in my life right now, which was kind of reflective of my experience in the dating pool over the age of 30. Um,
Did
but
you find it to be like therapeutic? Because I know that like when I've done my shows, I don't mean it to be this way, but like people cry. I'm like, oh, that's therapeutic for them. And it's also like I know at least for my first Mario show, it was indeed therapy, and I was like working through shit and charging people to help me work through shit. Do you find anything therapeutic about doing it, or is it just shits and giggles? It's just for fun and like making fun at the dating world among gays, which is wild, people. It's like the Wild West, but with glitter and poppers. Um,
Minus the poppers in my case,
there
but
you go.
um, uh, so how I go after my song choices and stories is I like to, for the sake of comedy, uh, do what no one in the audience would expect, and then where the pathos comes in, pathos, however people pronounce it, I don't honestly know. Sorry. Uh, is when I take the sincere the sincere moment to do exactly the song you would expect.
Mhm.
And that those are the moments where people cry at my shows. In any event, I sort of um, try to level out the emotional playing field by pacing the absurdist dark comedy with these moments of um, what's the word I'm looking for? Well,
Levity.
uh, no.
Oh, the
The more
pathos. Oh,
serious
yes, yes.
moments. Yeah, if you stick a ballad like "Being Alive" or he used to be mine" in the middle of these absurdist like big comedy moments, it tends to have more of an impact. So where you don't necessarily expect people to cry at your shows, those are where I go for it, and it usually works.
Yeah, it's very much like the in cabaret, so you got to earn the ballad. You got to earn the ballad,
Mhm,
which I'm always like, yeah, you got to do what you want to do, but you do have to still earn the ballad. But people just like throwing out like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this. This is how you do it. And I mentioned how like my shows are very formulaic, and that helps me then relax into it.
mhm,
But I don't think there's any better. I'm not sure if you've experienced Lenny Watts in person. I don't think there's anyone better that I've seen, and I've seen a lot of great people, and there are a lot of great people, but he really sprinkles in so much humor into. He actually, one specific show he did was Bloody Lanny Watts. It was, I was laughing so hard, and then all of a sudden I was crying, and it's like,
mhm,
so to your point, like you really want to give them the whole package and not like lead up to like, oh, he's going to sing Being Alive, and like, of course he's going to sing Being Alive, but then when you do it and it's like, oh wow, he's actually singing Being Alive, and it's actually perfect as is.
mhm. Um, sorry.
No worries.
um, yeah, and it's you describe your own style as formulaic, and to me that's the beauty of cabaret also, is that formulaic can mean so many different things to different people.
Yeah.
It can be song patter, and I don't know what I'm trying to say here, I'm sorry.
No worries, but everyone has their own way of their own formula or non-formula. Same thing with this show. Like I tried doing it off the cuff, and that just doesn't work for me because I tend to ramble. If you haven't figured that out yet, but there's many ways to approach this, which is what makes cabaret, unlike any other art form,
Mhm,
so wonderful, because we're not limited by our rep, we're not limited by a script, we're not like, we created this.
mhm,
We took existing songs, or we wrote songs, or we did whatever, and we put them together and staple into this Franken show, to get whatever message we want to get out to the world. And I don't want to tempt the gods of technology, so I want to get to the show that you have coming to the Post Office Cabaret,
mhm.
your newer show, Miss Otis Regrets, which will be September 20th. At what time?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. So, what's this show about, and what can people expect when they come see and support you?
um, so it's a bit of a difficult beast to describe, but I'll first tell you about the origins of the show, which was that I for Cabaret Fest, Provincetown Cabaret Fest 2024, I did a spotlight show, the half-hour series, and the theme of the year was the golden age, the golden era of nightclubs. Um,
Hmm.
which in this definition applied to the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Um, and so I wrote this half hour, very scripted thing in the third person, and it's supposed to be like a radio broadcast, telling the story, a fictional story of a gay postal worker in the 50s who falls victim to the lavender scare and is fired because of Eisenhower's executive order 10450. And After Cabaret Fest was over, I was like, well, what am I going to do with a half-hour show? So obviously I needed to expand it, but I had worked so hard on historical accuracy and song choices and everything that I didn't want to fuck with what I'd already made. So I made the decision to basically make it into a two-act show, and the second
Hmm.
half is supposed to mirror a modern-day podcast, albeit with better internet connectivity. Um, that's told in the first person about my own life and my own experience coming out of the closet, and the story of how I got into singing and how I got into cabaret, and um, it's supposed to follow through lines from the first half, insofar as how the homosexuality was viewed by the federal government and how the legacy of the Lavender Scare lives on into the 21st century, with very obvious parallels in the
Yes,
news
right.
at present. And that's the gist of it. So the first half is all American songbook type stuff. I actually made an effort. I couldn't get there 100%, but to have either the composer or the lyricist in all of the first half be gay composers or writers.
Oh,
Um,
wonderful.
and then the second half is all music written since the time of my birth, in 1990 and after. Beginning with "You Can't Touch This" by MC Hammer, which came out the year I was born.
Well, first of all, fuck you. I was alive and remembered that song out. But that's hilarious because like what you did was, yeah, the first half was true exactly to the constraints and the theme of the Cabaret Fest, and then outside the Cabaret Fest, and now we extended it into something even more, and it's this two parts make a whole. That's amazing. And to tell people one more time, it's September 20th at the post office cabaret space in Provincetown. And where can people find you on social media if they want to keep up with your adventures and find where you're performing and support you?
So I'm on the Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm not wonderful with it. Francis Garner on there. The profile's public, so you shouldn't have too much difficulty finding it. It's got my face. Um, Instagram, I'm at Francis Garner Baritone. That's Francis with an I, not an E, because I am a male. Um, and That's all I have at the moment. I do have a friend who is helping me to create a website, which is a terrifying prospect. But I've registered the domain, and that's as far as we've gotten. But once that's up and running, that's Francis-Garner .com, because somebody apparently stole francisgarner.com already.
Well, there we go. Well, perfect. So plenty of ways to keep up with you and the amazing things that you're doing. Now, I like to wrap up each episode the same way. We are well aware, whether it's performing or in restaurants, that bad reviews and bad news make it back to where it needs to be faster than any good reviews end up, if at all. So that's why I always like to, if I'm having a good time at a restaurant or I'm having a great time at work and a coworker has made it easier for me and has really stepped up, I like to let people know who need to know the good things because they're inundated with the bad things. So, who is someone that you would like to shout out today in any area of your life who has made a tough shift easier for you? And you just want to just say, "Hey, thank you for being that person in my life."
Ooh, oh, you're really putting me on the spot because anybody that I don't name is going to feel left out.
Dun dun dun.
I will say, stream of consciousness here. The first name that came to mind is a one Karen Mack, um, who uh,
Yes.
who turned me on to the venue, Pangea in New York City. She was like adamant that my show would fit better there, that fit in better than it might in other places, because of the alt cabaret scene in the East Village, and she went to great lengths to help me publicize the show and just did way more than she ever needed to. Um,
Yeah.
so I still owe her a great deal of gratitude and probably money, frankly.
There we I love Karen Mack, and she's actually going to be coming on this show soon, which I can't wait. So I'm so glad that you named her. She is absolutely phenomenal. And so, yeah, there you have it, Karen. Thank you for everything that you do. Clearly, the world needs more people like you. So thank you. This has been another episode of Tough Shift. And just remember that tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life. Take care. Tough Shift was created and hosted by Sean Patrick Murtagh. It was recorded on Riverside and distributed with Buzzsprout. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and maybe a comment or two. And remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life.